Did Jesus ever break the law? The question of whether Jesus ever broke the law is one that intrigues theologians, historians, and believers alike. At its heart lies a profound declaration made by Jesus himself in Matthew 5:17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. This statement provides a foundation for exploring Jesus' relationship with the law and his commitment to fulfilling it while challenging traditions. Join us as we uncover the truth about Jesus' mission and actions in a legalistic world. To grasp Jesus' relationship with the law, we must first understand the context in which he lived. The Torah was the cornerstone of Jewish religious life, a divine guide for moral and social conduct. However, centuries of interpretation had added layers of human tradition that often deviated from the Torah's original intent. Jesus' central challenge involved navigating this complex landscape of divine law and human interpretation. Throughout his ministry, Jesus demonstrated unwavering respect for the Torah. His adherence to Jewish law was evident in his participation in festivals, his teachings in the synagogues, and his observance of traditional prayers and rituals. Yet, Jesus pressed for a deeper understanding, urging a move from rigid obedience to embodying the true spirit of the law, an intention rooted in love and justice. While Jesus' commitment to the law was profound, certain actions led to accusations of law-breaking. A closer examination reveals that these instances were not contradictions, but clarifications of the law's true purpose. Let's explore these events to unveil the intended message behind Jesus' actions. One of the most cited instances of perceived law-breaking involves Jesus healing on the Sabbath. According to the Sabbath law, work was prohibited on this holy day. However, Jesus chose the Sabbath to perform numerous healings, challenging the existing understanding. For instance, when Jesus healed a man with a withered hand, he questioned, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill?" Mark 3:4. By prioritizing mercy and necessity over strict adherence, Jesus demonstrated that the Sabbath was made for humanity's benefit, not as a burden. His actions redefined what honoring the Sabbath meant, focusing on restoring life and well-being. In the tightly knit social fabric of Jewish society, dining was more than nourishment. It was a form of social endorsement. Jesus' choice to dine with tax collectors and sinners sparked outrage among the faithful, who saw it as endorsing sin. Yet, Jesus' response was revolutionary. "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Mark 2:17. His table fellowship was a radical act of inclusion, breaking down barriers created by social norms. By dining with those considered unclean, Jesus demonstrated a law of love, inviting all into a transformative relationship with God. Jewish tradition held strict laws regarding cleanliness, which governed everything from diet to rituals. Jesus often challenged these norms, such as when his disciples were criticized for eating without washing their hands, a violation of traditional cleanliness laws. Jesus responded by underscoring the primacy of internal purity over external rituals. "It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth." Matthew 15:11. By shifting the focus from ritual to righteousness, Jesus emphasized a heart-centered approach to faith, prioritizing intentions over appearances. Through his teachings, Jesus transcended the literal interpretations of the law. He presented a vision where true obedience came through living out love and mercy, principles that fulfilled the law's deeper purposes. In his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus expounded the Beatitudes, emphasizing meekness, purity of heart, and peacemaking. These teachings epitomize the spirit of the law, calling followers to embody divine love in every aspect of life. At the heart of Jesus' message was the commandment to love God and love one's neighbor as oneself. These dual pillars became the foundation for a life in harmony with God's law. Jesus' approach showed that adhering to commands like "do not murder" or "do not commit adultery" was ultimately about nurturing relationships, not merely avoiding wrongdoing. Jesus consistently highlighted the distinction between the spirit and the letter of the law. He argued that the law's commands were not ends in themselves, but means to cultivate justice and mercy. His parables often illustrated this principle, like the Good Samaritan story, where empathy transcended cultural boundaries. Through such teachings, Jesus exemplified how the spirit of the law calls for active, compassionate engagement with others. Jesus' life was a paradigm of living out God's commands. Rather than walking within the confines of legal rigidity, he embodied the intentions of the law, showcasing a path of faithfulness that surpassed mere compliance. Throughout his ministry, Jesus repeatedly confronted existing interpretations that obscured God's will. His authority was evident as he taught, healed, and ethically guided others, consistently challenging the status quo. Jesus' mission aligned with ancient prophecies, presenting him not as a destroyer, but as their fulfillment. His arrival was seen as the embodiment of messianic prophecies that promised the perfection of God's covenant. The religious leaders of Jesus' time often misconstrued his actions, seeing them as threats rather than fulfillments. Their misunderstanding stemmed from his radical reimagining of faith practice over strict ritual. Jesus' teachings left a profound impact on his disciples, who became carriers of his legacy. They perpetuated his vision of law fulfillment through love, spreading his message across cultures and generations. Jesus' teachings catalyzed theological shifts within early Christianity, challenging Judaic legalism and illuminating a faith rooted in grace. His message of inclusion and spiritual integrity became foundational to Christian doctrine. To appreciate Jesus' interactions with the law, one must consider the broader historical milieu, with its religious fervor and political tensions. His ministry intersected with a period ripe for questioning and reformation. Jesus was often likened to Old Testament prophets who also called for adherence to God's will over human traditions. This continuity underscores a divine narrative aiming for justice and faithfulness. Jesus distinguished divine commandments from the accretions of human convention. His mission highlighted the eternal principles of God, urging believers to transcend superficial customs for heartfelt obedience. At its core, divine law was meant to guide humanity towards righteousness, love, and the worship of God. Jesus embodied this purpose, revealing the wisdom and grace within its framework. By reforming existing practices, Jesus ushered in a transformative era. His reform was not an abolition, but a refining of religious significance, extracting the divine from the humanly corrupt. Fulfillment in the context of Jesus' actions means completing the law's purpose. He encapsulated its mission, revealing the harmony of law and grace in every encounter and teaching. Today, Jesus' teachings continue to inform religious beliefs and practices, encouraging a faith that is dynamic and impactful. His message remains relevant, challenging contemporary followers to reflect and act with love. True obedience, as demonstrated by Jesus, goes beyond compliance. It requires living in love, justice, and mercy, a reflection of God's heart in daily life. Jesus' legacy reshaped thinking on morality and ethics. His life was a testament to a radical form of engagement with the law, one that prioritized ethical living above legalistic adherence. Contemporary theology often grapples with balancing law and grace. Jesus' life offers a pathway, guiding us to integrate divine fidelity with the transformative power of grace in our lives. The principles Jesus embodied challenge contemporary believers to apply his teachings in their daily lives. By following his example, individuals can foster communities centered on love and righteousness. Today, countless individuals and communities endeavor to live by Jesus' principles. Stories of those who embody this mission offer inspiration and demonstrate the law's fulfillment in modern life. In exploring whether Jesus ever broke the law, the answer emerges clearly: he fulfilled it. Through his life and teachings, Jesus perfected the law, inviting us all into a relationship with God built on love and grace. As we reflect on Jesus' relationship with the law, we are invited to examine our own adherence to divine principles. Let us embrace the call to live in harmony with God, guided by the perfected law that Jesus exemplified. Let his example inspire a personal journey of faith, echoing his command: love one another as he has loved us.